Hello, it's Justin Woodall, your trusted Athens real estate advisor. Today I want to tell you a little story. I want to tell you a story about a guy who sold one house to two different buyers. So now how did that happen? So let me just tell you the story. So I got a phone call from a guy looking to sell his house, and he said, hey, I need to sell pretty quickly. We've already found another house we want to buy, and I need to sell my house. So I said, great. Came out, met with him, talked to him about the values, talked to him about what the market's doing, and told him, you know, what we thought the house could sell for. Anyway, long story short, brought him an offer, and he was ecstatic when we brought the offer. Happy with what the price was, signed off on it. We're under contract, ready to close, cash buyer. And the next morning, I get a phone call from this gentleman, and he says, hey man, I think I messed up. And I said, what do you mean you messed up? He said, this morning, after we signed off on the contract last night, I called this other guy that was interested in the house, and I just told him, hey, I've sold the house, you know, it's no longer for sale. And his reply was, I couldn't do that because I had a contract with him. And so my response to this gentleman was, well, did you sign a contract with him? He said, I didn't think so. He said, he gave me this little one-page thing, and he said, I thought that was just, you know, he said, I didn't think it was a contract. Well, long story short, I don't know that it truly was a contract from the legal standpoint, but he did sign a piece of paper with a buyer for a price that was less than the price he had agreed on with us, and with a closing date that was much longer than what he needed it to be. It was missing some components. We didn't know where the earnest money was. We didn't know where which attorney was going to be closing it. So I told him to send me the copy, took that copy to our attorney. She reviewed it, and she said, you know what? She said, this is a really terrible contract, but technically it's got signatures on it, it's got an address on it, it's got a price on it. She said, you know, this guy, if he sells this house with you, he could be in trouble with this other buyer. He could potentially set himself up for a lawsuit or get himself in, you know, he's only got one house to sell, now he's signed two contracts. Even though one of them's not a very good contract, he didn't even realize he was signing a contract, he did sign it. So moral of the story is, and so we ended up terminating ours. I told him, said, look, if this guy, whoever he is that has the one-page contract, if he's not able to perform, not able to close on the deal, let us know, we'll put ours back together. So we terminated our contract so that we didn't get him into a mess, into a legal dispute. But moral of the story is, when you go about entering into contracts and selling something as big as a house, when you're not familiar with what you're doing or not familiar with who you're even dealing with, even sometimes, you know, I know the market's good and people think, hey, I don't necessarily need a realtor, don't need an agent, I don't need advice, I know what I'm doing. Well, this gentleman got himself in trouble. I've seen others sell for less than they should. I've seen others, a buyer be represented by an agent, whereas the seller is not. And sometimes even in that situation, the seller has no representation. That buyer's agent knows some tricks of the trade that could be disadvantageous to that seller. So moral of the story, if you're thinking about selling your house, you may not want to go it alone. If you know what you're doing and you're comfortable, by all means do it. But don't get yourself into a legal bind. Had our buyer not been as gracious, then it could have ended up being in a big legal dispute for this gentleman that was trying to sell his house on his own. So moral of the story, if you're thinking about selling, give us a call. Even if you don't want to list it, give us a call. We may have a buyer that we can connect you with and save you some commission in that situation occasionally. But if you're thinking about selling, give us a call. Let us know. Even if you don't want to list it, tell us, I don't want to list my house, but I do want to sell it. It is coming on the market. We may be able to have a buyer, may be able to make it easy for you and keep everything legal and above board. So if you've enjoyed this video or want to see others like it related to real estate in Athens, go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel, or if you're on YouTube now, just hit subscribe below and you'll be updated with future videos.